Yo, how's it going guys? So I'm back in the workshop and the plan is to build up this Subrosa into a 650B fixed gear. So the frame is a Subrosa Letum from around 2011-2012. It's got some really nice chromo tubing, nice wide tire clearance. Really hoping to get 47C tires on there, and might be quite hard to see, but it's got this really rad oval down tube and also this curved seat tube. Features an integrated BMX headset, pretty standard 120mm wide 10mm track ends, and also a standard 68mm BSA threaded bottom bracket. It's not in the best condition, but it's not too bad. It does have a fair few battle scars from over the years, with some rust worms underneath the paint. But because of this, I thought it would make for a really solid trick bike that I'm not too worried about getting beaten up. So I'm really keen to get into it, so let's check out some of these parts. So starting off, I've gone for some classic Sagino messenger cranks, 165 length with a 42 tooth chainring, Tunge 107mm bottom bracket. Picked up these Halo hubs, they're fixed threading, and I'm going to lace those up with some DT Swiss spokes and nipples. And for rims, I've picked up these Fun Phantom 27.5 inch rims. These are the 30mm model, so they've got a 25mm internal and a 30mm outer width. They look like a really solid rim. They are built for heavy mountain bike riding, so they've got a welded joint, so should hopefully be able to withstand some abuse. And for tires, I've gone for these WTB Horizon 650x47Cs. They look like a nice street tire. Picked up this Pivotal BMX seat post, which is 27.2. And also super stoked that I found this Shadow Conspiracy BMX seat, which actually originally came stock on these Subrosas. So yeah, pretty happy about that. And I picked up a brand new cinema headset, brand new We The People top load stem, and also managed to find these wicked NS District chromo bars. They were originally like a bright orange, but I have stripped them back. You can still see a bit of the original color here where I couldn't remove it. So I paint stripped, sanded, and gave them a light polish. You can still see a bit of that patina from where the rust got under the paint, but I kind of like that. They're about 700 wide with about 90mm rise. 15 tooth Soma cog and lock ring. Izumi black and silver chain. And then finally I found these S&M 29 inch forks. The model is the Pounding Beer. They're 29 inch and fully chromo. I picked these up secondhand, so the stickers have been changed and the steerer has been cut, but I'm hoping they're going to work out quite nicely. And the axle to crown is, I think, 435mm. Oh yeah, and I can't forget the MASH top cap. So the reason I went for this cinema headset is because it actually comes with 3 different size headset caps. So I was hoping to avoid using spacers, so this seemed like a perfect fit. So it comes with like an 18mm here, an 8mm, and a really nice slim 3mm. So it's super rad, you can actually use the spare 2 on different headsets or different bikes, so yeah, pretty big fan of that. So it looks like the steerer is sticking out just a little bit with the smaller headset cap. So let's swap it out with that 8mm cap. The steerer is now sitting a little bit below the stem, which should work out perfectly. That gap looks great, as once you tighten that top cap down, it'll bring that steerer a little bit closer. So you can see here that the top of the steerer is just sitting above that top of the stem bolt. Now as I tighten that top cap, you can see it's pulling the steerer up higher. So it's now sitting higher above that stem bolt, leaving a nice tiny gap, which is perfect. So just a little tip here, it's always good to check bolts for grease, even on a brand new stem like this. You can see here that it's practically no grease on the threads, there's just a tiny bit on the end. So what I'll usually do is I just pull out all the bolts, put a nice little bit of grease on the threads, and then just refit them. You can also use something like anti-seize, and some people use thread locker, but I don't really like using thread locker. But what this grease does is it just stops them from rusting and oxidizing, and also helps you torque down the bolts properly. These ones were also dry as a bone. So now that the bars are on, we can give it a little bar spin check. Seems pretty good. Looks like there should be enough leg clearance. Let's just give the bars a quick measure. So yeah, looks like they're just about 710 mil wide. I think I'll leave them like this for now, but I might cut them down later on if I feel like they're too wide. So here I'm just using the little hairspray grip trick. It makes it super easy to slide the grips on and off. It also dries up really well. Loving the raw look on the bars. It's really starting to take shape quite nicely now. Kind of cool. It looks like this chainring must have come off a charge at some point. I don't really see many of these with this logo. It's pretty rad. Looks like the clearance is good on the cranks. There's a few millimeters just by the spider and a nice decent finger width by the pedals. So yeah, pretty happy with that. So now moving on to the wheels. I'm just going to lace them up with a pretty traditional 3-cross. The spokes are DT Swiss Champion straight gauge, and the nipples are gone for the DT Swiss brass ones in 14 mil length. So here's a little look at the wheels all built up. I'm super happy with how they've turned out. Yeah, so I forgot to get some rim tape, so I've just used some old Continental stuff I had lying around with a little bit of electrical tape, but should do the job just fine. It's time to get these tyres on. So it's all looking pretty good, apart from this kind of waxy rubber residue. Usually comes off after a few rides, but I'm just going to rub it off with my hand here so it doesn't look as patchy. Now, some of you might be wondering why I'm fitting 27.5 inch or 650B wheels on a frame that's designed for 700C. So the main reason is so I can fit a wider tire. So if I went for a 700C, I would only be able to fit something around, I think, 38C, but by going to 650, I can fit these 47Cs. So it's a little bit like I did on my Surly Steamroller 650B. I managed to get 47Cs on that as well. What's also quite interesting is that you might also think that by running smaller wheels, that would also lower the bottom bracket height, but you'd actually be surprised that it's not really by much at all. So here's a little comparison between some 26-inch 650 and 700C wheels. So here's a 700C wheel with a 25C tire on it, and then this is a 26-inch with a 2.4, and then we can compare that to my 650 by 47Cs that I've just built up. So this is the 650, this is the 700, and then this is the 26-inch. Now by looking at them, you can see that the 650 and 700 are practically the same height, and then the 26-inch is just a few millimeters shorter in height. So we can give them a quick measure here, and let's see. So the 26 by 2.4 is just over 68 centimeters in diameter. Looks like the 700 by 25C is also just over 68. And then the 650 by 47 is also just over 68, maybe 68.5. But you can see here that they're all within a few millimeters of each other. I thought this was quite interesting, so I thought I'd just share. Now obviously if you were to run a bigger tire on a 700C wheel, it would make it a lot bigger, and also if you were to run a smaller tire on a 26-inch rim, it would also be a lot smaller. But it is interesting to see that with different wheel sizes, you can actually achieve the same effective rolling diameter by selecting your tire size. So yeah, basically by running these 650s on the Subrosa, it's effectively the same as running 700 by 25Cs in terms of the ride height and also bottom bracket height. So yeah, just thought that was quite interesting. Looks like there's loads of tire clearance on the front. Could definitely run a bigger tire if I wanted to. Also looks like the bar spring clearance is pretty good. Nice clearance on the down tube and also at the cranks. Now for the moment of truth on the rear. That's very tight, but it looks like it's just going to clear with the axle fully slammed in the dropouts, hopefully. So I'm just fitting the chain and it looks like it won't reach at this link. It's going to be too tight. But then if I bring it back to the next link and pull the wheel back, it looks like the tire hits the chainstay before the chain gets tension. So the dropouts are nice and long, but because the tire is so wide, I only have this much room to actually adjust the chain before the tire hits the chainstays. So I think I'm just going to have to use one of these little guys, which is a half link. Half links are super handy in situations like this. They allow you to remove one inner link instead of two links. So let's chuck that on and see if that works. So I've just fitted the chain, it's worked out nicely, but as you can see here, the pin is sticking out further to this side. So when you're pinning chains, you just want to make sure that they're as even as possible on both sides. So what I'm going to do is just push it back through just a little bit, and there you go. So it's much better, nice and even. Also, just another tip, sometimes when you repin chains like this, it can make the link a little bit stiff, which is what it's done here. But what I do is just gently give it a side to side bend, and that usually frees it up quite nicely. So that half link has worked out pretty perfectly. The clearance is super tight. Unfortunately, it seems like the tire has a slight wobble in it, which makes it rub just a tiny bit. Bit of a shame as I spent so long truing up these wheels just to make sure they're as straight as possible. But yeah, there is a nice bit of clearance at the top. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove these little molding hairs off the side so they don't rub. And there you go. That's the best I could get it. Basically no rubbing at all apart from that one spot where that tire has that wobble, and it just brushes up ever so slightly against that left chainstay. I might just remove a little bit of tire pressure, see if that helps, as I don't have any other 650 tires to test out. And there we go. Looks like a proper little trick machine. That BMX seat definitely gives it a bit of a fixed gear freestyle vibe. I'm not sure how comfy it'll be, but I guess I'll soon find out. Super stoked how the bars and stem turned out, and also super glad the stereo was long enough on that fork. Definitely looks like a bike that just wants to be bar spinned and bar spinned over and over again. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think and what parts you would have changed. And thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed this one as much as I did. It's finally time to go take this thing for a rip, so yeah, I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.